With Election Day less than 2 weeks away, the race for president looks tighter than ever. A new Associated Press poll today shows President Obama and Governor Romney in a statistical dead heat. In the meantime, one prominent voter, the president himself, cast his ballot in early voting in Chicago. In addition to showing the president and Mitt Romney running neck and neck nationally, the new poll reveals that among women, President Obama has lost a 16-point lead he held just 1 month ago. The race has tightened among men, too, in the opposite direction, with Romney losing much of his advantage over the president. Still, on November 6, it will be the swing states that most matter, and today Romney concentrated once again on Ohio, where 18 electoral votes are up for grabs. He addressed a raucous crowd in Cincinnati this morning.
You know something's wrong about the direction we're headed right now. You know that we don't want to keep going on the same path we've been on for the last 4 years. You know we can't afford 4 more years like the last 4 years. Do you want real big change in this country? Well, you're going to get it on November 6th. You're going to make it happen. We're going to get America on track again.
Republicans were also today trumpeting big gains in the money race, with over $111 million raised from October 1st to the 17th. That gives the Romney campaign, the Republican National Committee, and state parties $169 million cash on hand. Democrats aren't required to provide their October totals until mid-November. The president, fresh off an appearance on The Tonight Show Wednesday, continued to crisscross the country with stops in Florida, Virginia, and, yes, Ohio.
You notice my voice is getting a little hoarse. But I'm just going to keep on keeping on.
On CBS this morning, he picked up an endorsement from former Secretary of State Colin Powell, a Republican who bucked his party to vote for the president in 2008.
I think this is an exciting race between two very, very capable men, and I signed on for a long patrol with President Obama, and I don't think this is the time to make such a sudden change.
With Powell's nod, the president campaigned in Tampa, Florida, where he told supporters they have a stark choice.
You can choose the top-down policies that got us into this mess, or you can choose the policies that are getting us out of this mess. You can choose a foreign policy that's reckless and wrong, or you can choose one that's steady and strong. You can choose to turn back the clock 50 years for women and for immigrants and for gays. Or, in this election, you can stand up for that basic principle that makes our country the envy of the world, that we're all created equal.
Those comments came amid continued fallout over statements about abortion by Indiana Republican Senate candidate Richard Murdoch in a debate Tuesday night.
And I think even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, that it is something that God intended to happen.
In a new ad out today, the Obama campaign attempted to link Romney to Murdoch and to comments made by vice presidential nominee Paul Ryan.
Well, so I'm very proud of my pro-life record, and I've always adopted the position that the method of conception doesn't change the definition of life.
Romney has distanced himself from Murdoch's remarks even while continuing to support him. Romney has said he opposes abortion except in the case of incest, rape, and a threat to the life of the mother.
Déficits más altos, desempleo crónico.
The Romney campaign continued its air war as well, reaching out to Hispanic voters with a Spanish-language ad that accused the president of failing to live up to his promises.
You can't change Washington from the inside.
This evening, the president stopped in his hometown of Chicago and became the first sitting president to participate in early voting. In fact, it appears now that as many as 1/3 of all American voters will cast their ballots before Election Day. Meanwhile, the Obama campaign announced today that former President Clinton will join President Obama in Florida, Ohio, and Virginia next week.
And for more on the money being poured into the presidential contest, we turn to Margaret Warner. If you live in a battleground state, chances are you've already seen the ads we just showed, probably more than once. Ad spending by the presidential campaigns, the parties, and the outside groups supporting them continues to far exceed the pace in 2008. Combined, they've reportedly spent upwards of $900 million on TV ads, much of it in 9 battleground states. According to the ad tracking firm Kantar Media CMAG, at least $44 million has gone to Iowa, $45 million to Nevada, $101 million in Virginia, and in Ohio, a whopping $116 million. The NewsHour is partnering with Kantar Media, CMAG, and NPR to sort through these numbers. And we're joined by Mara Liasson of NPR to look at what the ad spending figures tell us about the shape of the race. And Mara, how nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
So what do these ad spending numbers, if you look at some of the breakdowns, tell us about the strategy each camp is pursuing now, this close to the election?
What's interesting about this universe is the battleground of 9 states. Wisconsin is the newest addition. It came out around June. These states are set in stone. This is a battleground that's not going to shrink because of a peculiar aspect of this cycle. In the past, because campaigns had to make very tough decisions because they had limited or finite, not limited, but finite resources, sometimes they would leave a state. That's not going to happen this year. This battleground is not going to shrink. But what these ads tell us is, at this moment, it's also not growing. In other words, if the battleground was growing, you'd see Republicans buy ads in Michigan or Pennsylvania, and they're not right now.
But yet, Romney is still going to places like, I mean, he hasn't been to Pennsylvania lately. I mean, why that disconnect? Why aren't they pulling out of a state that
Because they don't have to. They have so much money they can afford to play everywhere, even in states like North Carolina, which most people think is beyond the reach of Democrats. Or Nevada, which some people think is soon to be beyond the reach of Republicans. There's no point. They have so much money they can play everywhere, at least for the reason of pinning the other guy down.
Now, when you look at these numbers, it looks as if the relative strength is almost equal. Is that right, if you combine both the parties and the campaigns and the outside groups?
Yes, right now. Previously, through September, the Obama campaign had a little edge, according to the Kantar numbers, because, for a variety of reasons, they can buy ads at a slightly discounted rate than, for instance, the Republican super PACs. Also because the Obama campaign strategy of buying ads was to buy them early, like you'd buy a plane ticket in advance, you get a cheaper rate. The Romney campaign strategy is to buy them at the last minute, so you have to pay more. So up until now, yes, very equal. But the Kantar folks expect that that's going to change in the last 2 weeks because Romney has a money advantage, and that could switch to an advantage for him in the final weeks.
Now, what do these numbers tell us about who is being targeted, and has that changed at all for each campaign? What sorts of viewers they're going after?
Well, they're clearly going after undecided voters. It's a very small universe. In these states, there's probably about 800,000 truly undecided, persuadable voters. If you're spending $1 billion total, if you're spending $1 billion on them, that means the campaigns are spending $1,000 per persuadable voter. Now, to them, that's probably a bargain. Sounds like a lot of money. But for instance, here's a target group, white, male, Midwestern voters. That means that you're seeing ads on college football games in the Midwest. And that is among college football, that's among the most expensive advertising you can buy, which is on a live sporting event, especially football.
Now, what about the undecided women voters we keep hearing so much
Well, they
about?
are clearly targeted. Unmarried women voters are a target for the Obama campaign. Married suburban women are a target for the Romney campaign. And they're advertising on all of the programs, whether it's daytime talk, et cetera, where they could possibly reach those people.
Now, this is probably a dumb question because any of us who've seen the ads probably know the answer, but explain the proportion of positive to negative ads.
Oh, well, it's 7-to-1 negative. And that's not a surprise to anybody. Negative ads seem to be the ones that work, and that's what you're seeing this year.
Do you expect, as someone who's out there covering these campaigns, any kind of shift in this pattern? These numbers are pretty fresh up to this week, so you're looking at the final 2 weeks.
Well, I expect a shift that Romney would have an advantage in the ad wars at the end. He's going to be paying more per spot, and maybe because he has so much more money in the end, he could buy more spots. But the Obama campaign has been pretty effective. They've targeted, they've bought early, and they've been able to kind of keep up spot for spot with the Republican super PACs and the RNC and the Romney campaign, who've had to generally spend more money per spot.
And you don't expect anybody to pull, either campaign to pull out of any of these states?
I don't see why they have to. They both have plenty of money to play in these states till the end. What I would watch for is if this ad battleground expands. Do the Republicans see an opportunity where it's worth pouring money into Michigan or Pennsylvania? That's what I'd be watching for.
That'll tell us something. Well, Mara Liasson, NPR, thank you.
Thank you.